Are you blowing your nose constantly or coughing all the time, all this mucus, and you just can't seem to get rid of it? Well, today's video is for you. We are talking about how to get rid of that congestion. So I'm going to give you 2 really quick things that are just going to help you to breathe better. And then I'm going to give you 3 other things that not only help you to breathe better, but actually cut that mucus in half and help your body to get rid of it for sure. So if you stay all the way till the end, I'll give you the tincture that I use for my family that helps you just to get rid of that mucus so you can stop blowing your nose and coughing up all that nasty mucus. So the first thing that we like to use is an inhaler. So if you've never seen one of these, this is just an essential oil inhaler, and I'll link it down below to in Amazon. You can buy them. They actually have some really cool ones now that are actually metal, and I've seen some new ones. These are just the plastic ones. But you put essential oils in here, and then you can smell them. And throughout the day, and that I like to put eucalyptus and camphor, and that just helps you to breathe better. It is kind of the same thing as Vicks, which we also make a homemade Vicks with eucalyptus and camphor and beeswax. And I don't really like Vicks because of the petroleum jelly that it has, and I don't really care to have petroleum jelly on our bodies. But we make a homemade Vicks, and I can also link, we use Dr. Christopher's recipe, and it's called Sensei ointment, and it has menthol crystals. It's really, really strong. You can put it on the bottom of your feet, on your chest, and on your spine. So putting it in these 3 areas, it really helps your body, because your skin is your largest organ. So your body is able to take in the essential oils from the salve and to pull it in. It really helps your lungs to breathe much quicker. So I do this especially with my kids at night. If I use it on all 3 areas and put socks on their feet along with it, it really helps them to not cough throughout the night and to be able to breathe a lot easier. So those are the 2 things that we do to help the mucus right away, just to help you to start breathing much better more quickly. And the 3rd thing that we do is we like to use a diffuser or a humidifier. So we have a diffuser or humidifier going in the room at all times. We'll put eucalyptus and camphor, and this really helps when we try to put it really as close as we can to the kids when they're sleeping, or to us, whoever's congested. And this helps them to breathe in those essential oils. With our kids, we only use 1 drop of eucalyptus or 1 drop of camphor because they are little and it is close to their head. Now, this is not medical advice. These are things that from a mom of 5 to other moms out there to help you to fight congestion. So this is not medical advice. This is just what I do as a mom of 5 that I have learned to help my kids to get rid of the congestion fast, because broken bones do not scare me, cuts and scrapes don't scare me, but congestion does scare me. Because congestion can really quickly turn into pneumonia or bronchitis or something really severe. And it also, if it is really thick, it can impair breathing. So congestion is something that as soon as I see my kids runny noses or they start to see congestion, I kind of go into overdrive. So this is just advice from me, that of an overdrive mom, that when my kids get congested, I try all the things and I'm trying to get rid of it as quickly as possible, because I do not want it to turn into anything else. But please do your own research. All of my kids are under 8. We have been using eucalyptus and camphor for 8 years on my kids and have never had any ill effects. We always use them. If we're putting them on their body, they're always in a salve or they're always in a carrier oil. We never put essential oils on our body neat, because they are very strong and powerful. I do not care how pure your essential oil is. The purest essential oils are the ones that actually need to be diluted the most, because they are pure essential oil, and it takes 1 pound of plant matter to make 1 ounce of essential oil. So that is a lot of concentration in 1 bottle. You never want to put this on your kids or yourself in a concentrated form or just directly on your skin. You always want to dilute them. But that being said, some people do not like using eucalyptus on young children. They say it can impair with their breathing or with different things. I've never found that to be true. We've grown up using eucalyptus. I've used it on my kids, and it's always turned out fine. But that's something that you really need to do your own research on and come to your own conclusions. If not, you could also use peppermint. Peppermint oil seems to help really good with congestion as well. We just use eucalyptus and camphor. Those are the ones that I really like. So back to, we like to use a distiller beside our kids' bed with these essential oils at night to help them to be able to breathe. And sometimes, depending on the weather, if it's in the summer and it's already, we live in a very humid climate, if it's already humid and hot, we use the distiller. If it is in the winter and we have the heaters on and it maybe is a little bit, the air is dry, we tend to use a humidifier. So we use either or depending on what the air quality in our home is at that season. So we also will use hydrogen peroxide, which is about, depending on the diffuser size, we'll use like a teaspoon or so in their diffuser, and that also, breathing in that also helps kill the bacteria in their lungs. You could also use silver. We also have done colloidal silver, and that seems to help. So the next thing that we use to get everything directly into our lungs is something that we invested in a couple years ago, and it is by Wave Medical Products. I absolutely love this product because it is a nebulizer, and I know that can sound crazy because most of the time nebulizers are used with chemicals. We actually use our nebulizer with a 9% saline solution, or we'll use it with a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, and that works really well. You do not want to use essential oils that in your nebulizer. It is hydrogen peroxide or saline, or you could just do plain water. And this really helps to get this mist into the lungs. My kids hate it. Now I love this one because it has the adult mask. It also has a kid mask, and we got this like cute teddy bear because I thought it would, really help them, and it really doesn't. I mean, they liked it at first until they actually have to sit and do the nebulizing, then they really don't like that. My kids really don't care for the mask. So there is another part in here. They actually just put right here underneath their mouth and they breathe it in. Is that true? You don't like it either. And they just breathe it in, and that seems to work better for our kids. And we typically we never can finish a whole little vial. We normally only do a couple, like 2 minutes at a time. And you can also do a nebulizer while they're sleeping because it really helps them to relax. So if they're just not taking the nebulizer and nothing is working, you could also, whenever they're in a deep sleep, you can put the mask over there, and just having them breathe in that gets all of that into their lungs and really helps. We alternate using hydrogen peroxide mixed with water, and we also use a saline solution. I make my own saline solution. We do a 9% saline solution. If you look on Amazon, you will see a lot of them. You can buy 3% saline solutions. I just don't feel like they're strong enough and they don't work quite as well. When we've done the 9% saline solutions, I feel like it cuts the phlegm really quickly and helps get rid of the virus or whatever they're struggling with more quickly than a 3%. So that's up to you. You can make it. You can make the 9% saline solution, or you can buy it on Amazon, either way. The 9% saline solution is 1 teaspoon of water to 16 ounces of water, and then you mix it together with boiling water. So that is something else that as soon as my kids start having any type of congestion, we try to do the nebulizer several times a day. I would say probably every other hour. I have it sitting on the counter, and I'm trying to get them to do 1 or 2 minutes every other hour just to make sure that they're getting that into their lungs. And you can also nebulize colloidal silver in there too, which we've done, and we've had success with that as well. So the next thing that I like to do for my kids while they're sleeping, because I feel like congestion really gets, because as you're moving throughout the day, you don't feel like you're as congested quite as much. I mean, sometimes you don't feel like you're congested quite as much, but whenever you're laying down, I feel like it's much more difficult because everything is settling, you're slowing down, so everything's settling in your chest, and it's harder to breathe. So at night, we also make an onion paste with castor oil, and we have this Now brand because I buy it locally. You can buy it on Amazon too, but I really like it. So castor oil really helps to break up anything. It's really just good at breaking things down. So the castor oil, we use that with onions, and we chop up the onions, we mix it into the castor oil, and I made these little packs. They're made with 100% unbleached cotton, and I you can make it into a nice paste. You stick it on the patch, and you stick the patch on the kid's chest, and I actually have it where it has like Velcro on the back that we could just Velcro it around. You could also use tape if you don't have that, or an ace bandage. I made these with Velcro because we do use it quite frequently. We also use it as a liver pack for a liver detox. So it's just much easier, something to keep around the house that we use quite frequently. But you can just use gauze or 100% cotton and put the onion paste, put it over, and then try to tape it on there too. My kids just don't like me taking off the tape, which is a little bit uncomfortable. So the patches with the ace bandages work a lot better. But that is something else that really helps to break up the congestion at night. You can put it on their chest. You could also put it on the back where your lungs are, the upper part of your back, and you can also do the feet. And that's gonna also help break up the congestion too, because your body will carry that to where it needs it. And not only does onion break up congestion, it also has a lot of antioxidants, and so it helps to fight the disease itself too. So it's also helping to fight the infection. So it helps to break up the mucus, and it also helps to fight the cold. And something else that's really cool about onion, that it has quercetin. And quercetin is known to, that is the part of the onion that actually helps to fight your cold. So if you need more quercetin, or you're fighting if you're fighting a cold or any type, even taking up if you can just eat onion raw, or just eating a bunch of onions is really going to help you to get better. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is something that is really cool, that really helps our family, is a tincture that I came up with for our kids to help us just to get rid of the phlegm a lot faster. And it does combine onion. So we're going to make this tincture with some raw onion. So I'm going to chop this up while I explain the tincture process. So we're going to make a glycerate, which is just glycerin and water, because I want to make this where I can give it to my baby. And the alcohol tinctures can be a little bit strong. So we're just going to use glycerin and water. And I like to make my tinctures a 1:5 ratio, which that means it's 1 part of herb to 5 parts of liquid or menstruum. So with this is a quart jar. We're going to make 20 ounces of tincture. So that's 20 ounces of menstruum, or of liquid. So if it's 1:5 and there's 20 ounces of menstruum, then the 5, it's a ratio. So you do the 1 over the 5 to 20 over 1. Then 5 goes into 20 4 times. So I need 4 ounces of dried herb to make a 1:5 tincture. So it's 1:5, 4 to 20. So I'm going to measure out 4 ounces of herb. So I'm going to turn my scale on. And I'm going to put my jar on here. I'm going to press Tade so it has the weight of my jar as well. And the first herb that we're going to put in here is mullein. Now, mullein is an incredible respiratory herb that has been used for centuries. It's an expectorant, which means that it expels mucus and helps to loosen up mucus. And it's also really good at it has a lot of antioxidants, and it helps to protect the cells in the lungs from free radicals and from damage. So it's also, if you notice, it's a really fluffy herb. So I'm just going to use 1 ounce, because I'm going to show you 1 ounce of mullein is actually a lot of volume. So you notice that is 1 ounce of mullein. That is a ton. We'll see if we can actually get our tincture as strong as we want it. Sometimes with the fluffy herbs, it's a little bit hard to get the strength unless you actually blend them down into a powder, which I don't like doing. So I'm actually going to press Tade again, and I'm going to see how much onion I can get in here. I'm going to like to do 2. Oh, okay. I actually did 3 ounces of onion. So that'll weigh down our mullein a little bit too. Now the next herb that I'm going to use is olive leaf. And this is actually a new herb to me that I have not really experimented with. But it is amazing at cutting through mucus and thinning it out. So that is why it is being added into here. It is one of the new herbs that I'm learning about this year. So it is a new addition into my congestion tincture. So now that we have our herbs here, we can turn our scale off and we are going to add our menstruum. So we said we're doing 20 ounces of menstruum. Now I'm gonna do 8 ounces of water because if you notice, I put onion in here and that is not dried onion. It has water in it. And I do not want my tincture to mold. So in order for my tincture not to mold, my menstruum has to be underneath 50%. I'm sorry, in order for my tincture not to mold, I have to have less than 50% water in here. So because there's some water in here and I didn't actually weigh the water and try to figure out how much is water and how much is not, I'm just gonna make my menstruum a little bit stronger. I'm using more than 50% glycerin. So I did 8 ounces of water and I did 12 ounces of glycerin. So that just keeps it so that the liquid that is in my onion will bring that ratio up a little bit, but it still is not going to take my water ratio above 50%. So this is going to be safe from mold. And I'm doing this because onions are better tinctured raw than powdered. It seems like when they're powdered, they lose a lot of their quercetin and their properties that make them really good at reducing inflammation and breaking up mucus. So I have noticed that fresh onion just works better and is stronger because typically I do not dill or work with fresh herbs in my tincture at all because you don't get as a potent tincture as when you're just doing with dry herbs. So this is going to bring it to the very top. And there we go. We have a official glycerite. So now I'm going to put my cap on this glycerite. We're going to shake it. And then I'm going to put a label on it with the herbs that are in it and the date that it was created. Okay, so this tincture will be ready in 2 weeks. You can strain it. If you do not know how to take the herb out of here, you can check this video up here and I teach you actually how to strain a tincture. So once we strain it, if you notice, this is in a clear bottle and that's not good. So we need to store it somewhere where the light cannot get to it. So if you want to have like a dark cabinet, you want to store it away from light and somewhere where it's cool. So preferably not above your stove or somewhere where it's going to be hot. And every day you're going to come and take it by and you want to shake it. So also somewhere where you're not going to forget about it. And then after that you can strain it. And then once you strain it, you're going to want to store it in either a dropper or a regular, if you have other regular jars. And it needs to be amber glass because the amber glass keeps out the lights and it helps it where it can be stored anywhere. And this is a glycerite. It is shelf stable. It is good in between up to 5 years. So you have a lot of time to use it. If you do not know how to do dosage with tinctures, I will put the Clark's method down below, which is what I typically use for my kids, so that you can look at it and see according to weight and pounds how much you should be taking for yourself and also for your kids. And if you are interested in getting a printed recipe card of the tincture that we made today, you can click the subscribe in my description below. And I send a newsletter every week and it has the video of the week, a printable recipe card, and maybe some other tips and tricks that I found along the way are also I'm learning how to make labels. So I'm learning how to make Cricut labels. So if you're interested in having a Cricut label for your tincture as well, you can sign up and I'll be also sending that out to my newsletter. But thanks for watching and I hope you get well if you're watching sick.